Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're doing something really cool. We're cracking the code on the Boost exam. We're going to completely demystify the oral test, so you'll know exactly what you need to do to get the best score you possibly can. All right, let's just jump right in. Okay, picture this. You're sitting down for your exam, the mic is hot, and you start talking. But have you ever stopped to wonder, what's actually going on the other side of that recording? What is the person grading you really listening for? You know, what's going to earn you points and what's going to cost you? Well, today's your lucky day, because in this explainer, we are pulling back the curtain. We've got the official grading guidelines, and we're going to reveal the scoring system. And we're going to start with the absolute biggest secret, something that could totally change how you think about this test.
So, you probably know the Boost exam has 4 parts, right? You've got parts A and B, which are all about listening. But today, we're focusing on the speaking parts, Part C, talking about yourself, and Part D, the picture story. Because this is where the scoring system gets, well, really interesting.
And here it is. This is the big one, the biggest secret of the Boost oral exam. Just look at this. When it comes to the speaking parts, your grade is split into 2 buckets. A massive 85% of your score comes from what they call task coverage, and only 15% comes from language use. I mean, let that sink in for a second. 85%!
So what does that even mean? It's actually pretty simple. Task coverage, the 85%, is all about what you say and how you deliver it. Did you actually answer the question? Did you cover all the points? On the other hand, language use, the tiny 15%, is about how you say it. You know, your grammar, your vocabulary. This split, this is everything. It means your main job isn't to speak perfect, flawless English. Your main job is to answer the question.
Okay, so if task coverage is worth a massive 85% of your score, we've got to get inside it. Let's break down exactly what it is that gets you those points.
So task coverage really comes down to these 4 key things. First up is completion. It's simple. Did you answer everything they asked? Then there's relevance. Did you actually stay on topic? Was your answer logical? And finally, you have intelligibility and fluency. Basically, can the examiner understand you, and is your speech pretty smooth? And here's the kicker. Your delivery, your fluency, it only really becomes a problem if it makes you hard to understand.
And check this out. The scoring rubric makes it crystal clear. To get a top score, like a 9 or a 10, you have to answer all parts of the task, fully. But look what happens if you only partially answer it. Say you only answer one of the 2 questions in Part C. Boom. Your score for task coverage immediately drops to a 5 or 6, max. That is a huge difference. The takeaway here is so important. Being complete is everything.
All right, let's talk about something that I know stresses a lot of students out. Part C, talking about yourself, and that dreaded 20-second rule. The instructions say your answer needs to be at least 20 seconds long. And yeah, that causes a ton of anxiety.
But here's the truth, straight from the official guidelines. You only lose points for a short answer if being short means you didn't actually answer the whole question. So think about it. If you give a fantastic, complete, relevant answer in, say, 18 seconds, you're totally fine. The point isn't just to talk and fill time. The point is to cover the task. It's all about quality, not just the clock.
And what about Part D, the picture story? I hear this all the time. Students are worried they're going to tell the wrong story. Well, let me put your mind at ease. The official rules say that different ways of seeing the story are perfectly fine, with one condition. Your story has to be logical and connect to the pictures. So yeah, you can be creative. Just make sure it all makes sense.
Okay, so we've covered the huge 85%. Now let's talk about that other little slice of the pie, the 15% for language use. The exam is graded at what's called an A2 level. So what does that actually mean for your grammar and vocab? Well, this is the part where you can probably relax a little.
Here it is. This is basically your A2 checklist. The examiners are just looking for the fundamentals. Can you handle your simple tenses? You know, present, past, future? Is your basic word order okay? Do you have some basic vocabulary and expressions? And can you use pronouns and plurals correctly? That's pretty much it. They are not looking for you to be Shakespeare.
And now, for what might be the single most important sentence in the entire rulebook.
Seriously, it says, students should not be penalized for mistakes they make in language that is above the A2 level. Just let that sink in. That means if you try to use some fancy, complicated grammar and you mess it up, it doesn't count against you at all.
So this makes it a complete no-lose situation for you. Look at this. If you make mistakes using language above the A2 level, you are not penalized. But if you manage to use that more advanced language correctly, you can actually get credit for it. So really, you have absolutely nothing to lose by trying to stretch yourself a bit, and you might even gain some points.
All right, so now you know how the scoring works. Let's get down to brass tacks, tips, traps, and cheating. We're going to talk about how to avoid the easy mistakes and how to really score your best.
Okay, listen up, because this is super important. These are the things that will get you an automatic 0, no questions asked. Some are obvious, right? Don't use curse words, don't answer in another language, make sure you actually record something. But look at these other two, obviously reading from a script or giving an answer that's just completely incomprehensible. You gotta avoid these like the plague.
Let's clear up some confusion about what is and is not cheating. It is absolutely not cheating to use the vocabulary words that are right there on the screen for you. And for Part C, since you know the topics beforehand, it is not cheating to prepare and even memorize your answer. But here's what is considered suspected cheating. If they hear whispering in the background, if you answer a totally different version of the question, or, and this is a big one, if your Part D story is word for word the same as someone else's, that's going to raise a red flag.
And here's one more little insider tip, just to boost your confidence. The official rule for examiners is that if they're stuck between two scores, let's say they can't decide if you're a 7 or an 8, they are told to give you the higher score. Yep, the system is actually built to give you the benefit of the doubt. So what happens if an examiner does suspect something's off? Well, they file something called a chashad. It's a Hebrew word that just means suspicion. They still give you a grade for what you actually said, but your exam gets flagged with this report for someone else to review later. So it's not an automatic fail, it's just a process.
So there you have it. The secret's out. You know the game now. Focus on answering the question completely and clearly. That's your 85% right there. And don't be scared to try using better English, because you can only get rewarded for it. Just stay away from those simple traps. So now that you know the rules, what are you going to talk about? That's all for this explainer. Thanks for tuning in.